I love that our next guest says every initiative starts off with good intentions. Ain't that the truth? As we pick up steam into Women's History Month today, we are checking in on women's equity and leadership, and we are in where we're at in the long game of gender equity. So Tiffany Yvonne is an executive leadership coach, and she's here to share how organizations can get it right. Good to see you, Tiff.
Good to see you, Tiff.
You look gorgeous in your green today.
Thank
you got
you
the
so
memo on
much.
green.
Again.
I love it. It is true. Like every time you've matched, which is hilarious. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about gender equity and why you say this sort of thing of, you know, every initiative starts off with good intentions. What does that mean, and why does it not always end that way?
I think we are really fired up when it starts, and then something else important comes along and it just gets shifted. And so really just leaning into the fact that this is where we're focused, it's where we're going, and like sticking to that initiative is a major key.
Do you think it's a challenge for organizations to meet that gender equity norm?
I think a lot are approaching it with a check off the box mentality. And so that changes policy, but it doesn't change behavior. And in order for it to really stick and happen and make great ROI on their investments, they need to make sure that it not only checks the box, but changes behavior and is transformative.
I was having a conversation with a female friend of mine last night, and she was talking just about the fact she just started a new job, and she was finally having conversations where she felt like her ideas were being taken to heart with the men she was working with. She hadn't experienced that in the past. And I was a little shocked to hear it, because I do feel like I've always had really great men surrounding me, but not everybody has. So as women leaders, what can women do in situations to help their leadership grow or to help it within their own workplace?
You know, I think that's a great question, because oftentimes we're putting it on the men or on the organization, but I use an acronym. It's universal, so it's LUCK. It's listen up and speak out, right? So listening is key, but also just speaking up every time we see it. Understanding that there's a difference between equity and equality, and just like really understanding how that moves, and also to proceed with courage, not caution. So the C is all about proceeding with courage. And so when you are the only woman in the room, just like being willing to listen up and hear what's happening, talk about the differences, and then proceed with courage, not caution. Just like say it every time.
You mentioned about not leaving it up to the men, but sometimes I feel it's also up to other women, because women can be competitive with other women. And I know from working with very supportive women how important that is. So how much do you think it's also on other women to help us elevate each other?
Yeah, you know, the whole reason that we're doing this series is so that people can lift as they climb and have the tools to do so, and realize that really there is room for all of us. If you look at the C-suite, there's not many of us, so we can release that idea that we need to be the only one and truly embrace lifting as we climb, and understanding that when we make space for another woman, everyone gets better.
Yeah, I even remember back in the day I did improv comedy, and when I first started in improv comedy, the rule of thumb was women weren't funny. And it was like, it was even changing as I was doing improv at that time, where it was kind of like a thing. We wouldn't have more than one or two women on stage with a multitude of men, because we thought the audience wouldn't receive the humor. So just like in all areas of life, things have changed so much. Now you see women as leading ladies in hilarious comedies, and I do think that script has switched and flipped a bit. But how are we doing in terms of it in the corporate workplace, or in just the workplace in general and leadership?
Yeah, we can always be doing better. So we've made great strides. You know, we have a woman vice president now. Like we've made great strides, but just making it a consistent and constant effort to always know that there's room for improvement, and not getting fatigued from our efforts, but keep amplifying it.
Yeah.
Keep amplifying it will be where I'd go.
Can you give us an example of an organization that's gotten it right, or at least mostly right?
You know, so my clients will get me, but what I'll say is that there are a number of organizations that are leading the charge at helping organizations get it right. You know, so like there's Lean In, that's a initiative. Another
Did
one.
It come from the book? Leaning In?
I think it did come from the book.
Because I've read that, and I think it's a wonderful book, Lean In. And I felt like that became a real initiative from that.
Absolutely. And then Vistage, which was based in Wisconsin, helps women CEOs, all CEOs, but women CEOs get together and network. And then also in Chicago, there's one, the Chicago Network, which brings together a conglomerate of organizations to help with the 2030 Gender Equity Initiative. So by reaching out to those supports can help you really make the investment that you're already making more impactful.
I love this topic. I feel like the Morning Blend gets it right. We got two women here. Molly and I too, like on a regular basis. I mean, there's not many shows in the country that have two females hosting. And I just think like we're really doing it. We're doing all the things we can as women, and I love this topic.
Yeah, and we get to lead by example.
Yeah, and we love our men too. It doesn't leave anybody out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Tiffany, it's always great to see you.
Same.
I know you've got this great free virtual workshop, so here's the deal. You can join Tiffany for a free virtual live workshop. It's about women leaders at work. It's happening on Saturday, March 18th, and she'd like you to register. So go to tifftalks.live.